Cold Steel Tuff Lite. So this is a knife you can pick up for about 25 bucks. I've seen it vary from anywhere from 22 to 30 bucks, but about 25 bucks you can pick this up on Amazon. And let me tell you, this is a great little knife. I find myself carrying this a lot, not because it's the most beautiful knife, not that I can show it off to all the friends and they ooh and ah and think that's an incredible knife, but more because of the utility, the price. With the low price point, I'm not worried about hurting it or even destroying it. Obviously, I wouldn't use it as a pry bar, wouldn't try and destroy it on purpose, but it makes it so I feel comfortable that if I needed to just replace it, it wouldn't be a problem. So let's go over this. So it's got a nice solid clip on it. Cold Steel, I think most of Cold Steel's clips are about the same, got the three screw clip. And you can do right side or left side carry with tip down. And what's cool about it is it's got the recess on there, so it's not sticking out. If you can see that, the clip recesses in there, although the screws are raised. And then all the screws here are all recessed, so they're not sticking out. You got a little jimping on the back. You got Cold Steel's proprietary triad lock. That's a nice feature to have. I don't think I've had any other Cold Steels before. This will be the first one I've had. But I have seen the commercials on YouTube and how great and powerful and wonderful and magnificent the triad lock is. I've never had a knife fail on me. I imagine if you ever did, it probably wouldn't be a pleasant experience. But haven't had a knife fail, so I don't know that having to hold 200 pounds on the back of this thing and not come unlocked is going to be a big priority for me. But it is nice to have that confidence. So I'll give it that. Got a little groove. I don't know if you can see that, but it's got a little groove beveled in there on each side. Doesn't help you with that on there, but it does give it a nice little place to put your thumb or rest your fingers when you're wrapped around it. Got a large lanyard hole back there in case you want to put a lanyard on here. I'm not a lanyard guy, but you got plenty there. Probably takes some of the weight off as well, this is definitely not a heavy knife. So we'll open it up. Got a Warncliffe style blade on there. It's AUS 8 steel. I don't know if you can see that. Let's see if that'll focus. Yeah, AUS 8A. So a good steel. Definitely a steel that'll hold the edge and is easy to sharpen. Got a hollow ground blade with the Warncliffe style blade design. And I got to tell you, I find myself carrying this most of the time. So you've got finger grooves here. So even with my size hands, which they're not large hands, but I do wear large. I wear a 3X actually glove in motorcycle gloves. So usually it's an extra large glove on normal one, but or 2X. But I have a pair that fit great that are 3X. I don't know how that worked. But my hands aren't that big, but I guess they're on the larger size. So you get something like this, little Tuff Lite. It's still got a little bit extra coming out the back there. And the reason why is because they put the finger groove up there on the blade. One thing that I do like about this, being a straight edge design like the Warncliffe design, it makes it easier to sharpen, which I haven't sharpened it yet. It came razor sharp from the factory. And if you don't believe me, there's plenty of Tuff Lite videos that they'll show you how sharp this thing. I've used it a lot and it's still super sharp. It's got a nice, I don't know, choil, whatever you call it. So it's got a definite stop point here. If you can see that, it's definitely got a stop point for when you're sharpening. so you're not going to be kicking it up. It's not going to run into something where it's flaring and it kicks up and you start getting an uneven edge or whatever. So it's super easy, just like sharpening on a little razor blade. You can just go straight back. And I think the width of this thing is not quite as wide as my sharpening stone. So this thing will be great when I do have to sharpen it. But like I said, I've opened a lot of boxes and stuff with it, especially at work. Not had any problems. So like I said, you're not going to be showing this off to your friends. This is not a beauty queen by any stretch of the imagination, but man, it's just a great utility knife. And look how thick that stock is. And that comes a beautiful point. And I tell you, this thing will go through boxes. It will. It's just like buying a utility knife, but it's something that you can fidget with as well. If you close this, I don't know if the camera can pick that up. It's got a little metallic sound. I don't know if you've ever golfed before, but when you go golf and you hit the ball with your driver, and if you hit it right in the sweet spot, it'll make that metallic tinking sound, just a tink, a nice crisp tink, and that's what it sounds like. And I like the way it sounds. I really dig that. And then you open it up, and it just nice solid click. You can tell that thing's locked. There's no oh, did it shut? Do I gotta check it? Nope, it is. That thing is shut, or excuse me, open. So then you got the jimping. There's just a great grip on this thing. One thing I wanted to point out, so that triad lock on this is kind of, I don't know, it's a little difficult to press. I don't find it that big a deal, but it's a little more difficult, and it's actually worn in with time. But yeah, you got to give it a good press. One thing I've noticed is when you press on that, the choil comes down on your finger instead of the blade. So I've been able to do it one hand by just doing that and that. So this isn't a fidget-friendly knife. It's not going to spider flick, whatever you call it. And it's not going to. Well, I guess you can do it. I just proved you could, but I haven't. That was actually the first time I've tried to do that. But I'm hesitant to do that because it's not. The blade isn't loose and it doesn't lend itself well to flicking open. It's more of a you open it because you want to open it kind of knife, and you close it when it's done. The only, besides the lock mechanism being a little tight, like I said, it has loosened over time. Besides it being a little tight, the only other thing about this that's a downside is the edges are pretty sharp. So all this, there's no metal scales in here, which does not a problem. It has a little give, but I have to really squeeze it for it to give at all. So it's very tight. If you listen to that, it's not cheap plastic. It's pretty well done plastic. But on the edges of this thing, they're all very sharp. I mean, obviously not razor sharp, but sharp enough that you can feel it. They catch. It doesn't stop me from using it, but it's sharp inside of there. And then when I got this, you could tell that they chamfered this hole. And what I mean by that is they beveled it so that it's not sharp inside of here, so that when a righty or a right-handed person comes up with it, that's not going to bother their finger. Well, on this side, it was very sharp. I'm sure this blade is stamped, and the blades are just stamped down an assembly line, and then they probably chamfer that hole, and to save time and money, they don't do this side. So you can actually, now that I'm feeling it, It feels like this whole side is the same way. So you got a very sharp 90 degree on the spine here, but not quite as bad on this side. So what I ended up doing is I took my not my drill, but my Dremel tool with a little stone on it and kind of chamfered that hole, because that did bug me with it being as sharp as it was. But yeah, it feels great now, because now I can open and close it with either hand, and it doesn't matter. It wasn't so sharp it was going to cut you, but you could definitely, if a couple times opening it with your thumb, and you'd see the lines on your thumb from the, get little marks on there. Or if you were to do it with your finger, it would cut your nail. If you were to do it with your nail. But yeah, cold steel Tuff Lite. Recommend it. Got a couple of small flaws, but for a little utility knife for 25 bucks, I mean, you cannot beat this thing. And if you do, it's easy to replace. All right. Thanks for watching, guys.